Jesus, no! It's the second day of summer school.
Let's get on with today's lesson.
I know it's hot, everyone, but let's just try and get through class. Focus pocus! Still, who would have thought people would actually attend this course over the summer? You sure are a curious lot. I'm not really sure what to make of that. Well, anyway, let's talk about something interesting today. All you future magicians will want to pay attention. Today's subject is tarot. That's right, those cards often used in fortune telling. Despite originating in 15th century Europe as normal playing cards, tarot cards evolved into tools of divination. There are a variety of tarot decks, including the Moxilin and the Rider decks. But today, in honor of the great Crowley, who you have never mentioned I think, we will be using the Tot deck. And yes, I believe that it's Tot. I'm not saying that quite right, but whatever. Because it's not an English word, so it's not TH as in th. Rather, it's TH as in like an aspirated T. So it's Tot.
So, continuing on.
First, let's talk about the composition of the deck. The modern 78 card tarot deck is divided into two parts. There are 22 major arcana, the face cards, and 56 minor arcana, or number cards. The minor arcana are also sometimes called pip cards. The major arcana feature a variety of illustrations on their faces, beginning with the Fool and ending with the Universe. They tell a story in numerical order that represents an individual's journey through life. Each major arcana represents a stage on that journey, and each stage represents an event an individual must experience to achieve wholeness.
Let's do just that.
They're all important, so let's take each of the 22 cards one by one. Oh, Jesus Christ, I think we're actually going to do this. I remember that this goes on forever. Oh no. The first card, numbered 0, is the Fool. It represents beginnings and suggests infinite possibilities. In other words, the beginning of life. The next card, the Magician, represents action and initiative, but also immaturity. The High Priestess represents contemplation and inner knowledge. Ah, yes. Young children, known for their high levels of contemplation. The Empress represents both motherhood and maternal love, as well as one's vitality. I'm going to assume that we take that then as a mother's love for her child, since split into 22 years or 22 sections. This would be about age 4? Average human lifespan is on the order of 60 to 70 years. Split into 22, each of these would be on the order of like 3 years each. If we're going from like birth to death as kind of the path to enlightenment that we're kind of talking about. So this would be the equivalent of like late childhood into the very beginnings of teenagerhood. The Emperor is an opposing card. It represents fatherhood as well as leadership and decision-making skills. The Hierophant represents formality and knowledge. It is the symbol for religion. A symbol for religion.
That is to say...
The Lovers represents choice. Here, the individual finally begins to develop a conscience. The Chariot represents the individual's victory, but only a momentary one. Justice is exactly what it sounds like, knowing what is right and what is wrong. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna throw out my whole trying to follow a person's life by doing the Arcana. That is pretty clearly not what's going on. Formality and knowledge. The Hierophant confidant in this game is the old couple, yeah? They wouldn't be considered a symbol of religion, I don't think. Formality and knowledge? I mean, they own a bookstore, so knowledge, yes. Formality, Like, I'm just kind of trying to figure out how much do these arcanas actually apply to what we are seeing in the game. The Hermit represents self-reflection. In other words, searching for answers deep within one's heart. Fortune represents fate and the opportunities it brings. Strength represents passion and self-control. It is depicted as power with reason. Okay, that's actually Yuko, and passion but self-control, like, that's the coach position actually, so that works. The Hanged Man reflects the individual's inability to take action. Spiritual death. Oh wait, no, back up. Hanged Man is Maiko, isn't it? So the kid's inability to take action, that makes some level of sense. Spiritual death awaits the individual with the 13th card, which is aptly named Death. Death is considered a transitional card. With death, the old ends and the new begins.
Alright.
Now let's move on to what happens following the transition! Temperance is the balancing of opposites. Opening one's eyes to the world allows for growth. And then an encounter with the devil is where one faces temptation. I mean, temptation of what specifically? The devil's used for a lot of stuff. At the tower, the individual's values will start to collapse. It seems as if there's nothing to believe in. A corrupt monk fits that, actually. Nice. The individual then finds a glimmer of hope in the star, granting one peace and serenity. In turn, this makes one vulnerable to the moon's illusion, which gives way to fear and trepidation. The moon is also super important to P3, obviously, so they could be taking some liberties with that one. The individual may be rewarded with the bright future by the sun, which signifies true achievement. I mean, the sun is currently on a deathbed, pretty much, so, I think we need some details on that. Judgment awaits the individual at the journey's end when looking back on the path one has traveled. The final card is the Universe, which represents the individual reaching full awareness. And that's the growth of an individual as explained by the tarot cards. Perhaps all this talk about life doesn't hit home with you young folk just yet,
Well then.
Well, now you can use all 78 cards to divine the future in detail, if you fucking say so, my dude. You taught us nothing about how to actually use the tarot, nor did you tell us anything about the, how many was it, 52 or whatever? 56 pip cards? What are those used for? But most people only use the 22 major arcana. Okay, now let's talk about the fortune telling using the major arcana. Please end. Please end. Please end. First, you will need to shuffle the cards. If a card is reversed, its meaning will change. Now, this is important, so pay attention. What will its meaning change to? Like, I think that means that it gets reversed, but, like, tell us that. Mr. Edagawa continues to drone on and on. Despite the summer heat, I managed to pay attention to his lecture. Fucking earned those points.